Hello, and welcome to the Feeling Good podcast, where you can learn powerful techniques to change the way you feel. I am your host, Dr. Rhonda and joining me here in the Murrieta studio is Dr. David Burns. Dr. Burns is a pioneer in the development of cognitive behavioral therapy and the creator of the new team therapy. He is the author of Feeling Good, which has sold over 5 million copies in the United States and has been translated into over 30 languages. His latest book, Feeling Great, contains powerful new techniques that make rapid recovery possible for many people struggling with depression and anxiety. Dr. Burns is currently an emeritus adjunct professor of clinical psychiatry at Stanford University School of Medicine.
Hello, Rhonda.
It's the subdued David. Hi, David. And we have, go ahead, you will probably want to say hi back.
Two special guests.
We have two special guests today. Again, we're having our marvelous colleague and friend, Matthew May, who's now going to become a monthly guest for us. Yay.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me back.
We're so excited to be working with you, Matt. And as I said in the last podcast, Matt is one of the most fantastic therapists on planet Earth. And also...
Wait, I was listening to that podcast and I thought, I think it's bigger than planet Earth. I think it's the entire universe.
Well, yeah, but there might be some spiffy, extraterrestrial
in the Milky Way
haven't come across yet, or something like that. But yes, absolutely, and just a really great friend and colleague, and I'm just so excited to have the chance to be working with you again, Matt. Brings me back to the days of our residency, which were just always so much fun and hanging out and doing supervision and stuff. And then you brought a special guest for you who's a little on the shy side, but he might be able to help us out a little. Do you want to introduce him, Matt?
Well, first, I feel very flattered. Thank you, both Rhonda and David. It's just a wonderful opportunity. I just like spending time with both of you. And our very special guest today is Dr. Rutherford Knows. Maybe he can say hello briefly and introduce himself.
Oh, yeah, well, yes. Thank you. I will not say too much, but occasionally if I have something to say, maybe something fairly deep, as you might say, I'll be glad to say it. And my name is not spelled N-O-S-E, although I do have a big nose, but it's K-N-O-W-S, because the doctor knows. So you two carry on, and with Dr. David, and if I have anything to throw in there, I will.
Okay.
But only if it's deep.
Excellent.
Well, welcome, Dr. Knows. I'm going to read a podcast endorsement on episode 244, which featured Matt. And that was when we talked about the paradoxical nature of team. And we published that on May 31st of 2021. And someone wrote in, an absolutely excellent podcast. I was impressed with Matthew May, MD, when you both worked together with Marilyn in the Feeling Great book and those podcasts, and even more impressed today with all of you in terms of your humility, as well as your great skill levels in treating patients.
Yes, I like that. Humility is good.
Yeah, that was really nice. I appreciate that person for writing in.
Yes. I thought I would read this really cool email that we got, which is both an endorsement and a question.
Yes, do.
It's from Rosemary, who writes, "Hi, David and Rhonda. I'm an avid listener of the podcast, and I'm a reader of Dr. Burns' material. I've been working my way backwards, listening to all of the podcasts, and now I own all of Dr. Burns' books, and I'm working my way through those too. I've especially found the live therapy on the podcast and role-playing using the 5 secrets incredibly useful. The 5 secrets is like a cheat code for life. As I've been applying it in my own life, every conflict has had a phenomenal outcome, and I end up closer with the other person. It's incredible. You've given me many useful examples of using the 5 secrets on the podcast to respond to someone, for example, who's attacking you, and you use the disarming technique and inquiry to hear more about how it's been for them. My question is, how would you use the 5 secrets to initiate a conversation where you have to be the one to bring up something that the other person doesn't want to hear, or that it may be painful for them to hear? I started to think about this when consulting for a CEO who needed to fire someone, but needed to keep the relationship amicable, as well as consulting with another business owner whose employee had been deceitful, and she needed to have a come to Jesus talk with him. Similarly, I've always struggled to bring up something that's bothering me to a spouse or a loved one because I didn't know how to initiate the conversation and keep it from devolving into an argument. My greatest fear. Could you perhaps do a role play on the podcast to demonstrate using the 5 secrets to initiate a difficult conversation, such as firing or correcting an employee, or telling a spouse or a loved one when you felt hurt or angry because of something they did? Obviously, you would use all the same techniques, stroking, I feel statements, inquiry, etc. But I would love to hear an example. I find the role plays especially useful and would love to hear your expert wording on how you would approach this. Thank you both and Matt May for all your tremendous work.
I love this question, and I'm going to call today's podcast How to Tell Someone They Suck, using the 5 secrets. And I think it's really an important question because it's very tough, and it's also sometimes in dating. One of the common problems I had when I was in practice was a woman would be dating some fellow she had lost interest in, but kind of still leading him on, not wanting to just break off the relationship. And then the desire not to hurt someone's feelings ends up the person gets hurt far more because they spend 6 months chasing this woman who's never going to be interested in them. And the woman's misguided efforts not to hurt the person's feelings ends up hurting them way more. And so I think there's a lot of examples for all of us in life when we have to give a kind of negative message to somebody, and it's like anxiety. It's easy to avoid, and the more you avoid it, the worse it gets. And with that, I will kind of shut up and let you two take the lead on this thing, and I'll jump in a little every now and then if I can.
Hey, Matt, let's do another role play.
We're going to do the role play? Okay.
Okay.
Who am I?
You're the 5 secret talker.
I'll do the 5 secrets. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do my best here.
And can we pretend that I've said or done something that really hurt your feelings?
Okay.
And you're going to initiate that conversation with me?
Sounds good. Do you want to say something? Go ahead and hurt my feelings a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of ignoring you. You know, you're talking to me about something that's really important to you, and I'm just I'm checking my cell phone for texts while you're telling me something that's really meaningful to you. So I'm kind of ignoring what you're doing, what you're speaking about.
In fact,
okay,
Matt,
sure.
I can tell you what you've been talking about. You've been dating Rhonda.
Okay.
And you've been trying to explain about the impact of geography on the evolution of the Inca people in South America and their culture. Do you remember that one?
I do. Yeah. I have. You'd like me to talk about that for a half hour or so?
And while you're talking about that, I'm checking my texts. I'm not making eye contact. I'm not paying attention.
Okay. Hey, Rhonda. I noticed that I'm feeling a little bit hurt and slightly rejected. And I noticed that you're kind of checking out a little bit. You're checking your phone and not making eye contact. And I wondered if that was maybe because you're feeling a little bored or annoyed with me. And yeah, I'd be interested in just hearing what's going on for you.
Okay, now let's all grade that. That's the first attempt. What grade did you give yourself, Matt?
Probably like a C. I don't think I did any stroking or. I think I acknowledged some of my feelings, but maybe not all of them. And I don't think I disarmed that it was probably pretty boring for me to be talking about the Inca geography for the past 30 minutes. It was exciting to me, but probably not so much to Rhonda.
Okay, what grade did you give it, Rhonda?
Well, I would never give you a C, Matt, but I did give you a B plus because I did notice that there was no disarming and there was no stroking and there's no thought empathy. Although I don't know how you would put in thought empathy, but because you did observe that I wasn't paying attention. So maybe that stood in for the thought empathy.
Okay, great. So should we try a role reversal and see if we can raise the grade? I didn't give you a C. I gave you I think a strong B plus, like what Rhonda was saying. The coming on with the strong I feel statements may run the risk of sounding a bit needy or something like that. And she's clearly got you in a power thing here, where she's ignoring you, so you're chasing her. So let's do a role reversal, and you can be Matt, and Matt will be Rhonda.
I'll be talking about the geography.
Yeah, the same deal. Yeah, and he's been ignoring you and kind of playing with his cell phone and stuff like that. And now let's hear your version.
Hey, Matt, can we talk about something for a second? Can I get your attention for a sec?
Huh? Oh, you're still here? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, I guess I've been a little boring talking about the geography and Incas, and that's so interesting to me, but I can imagine it might not be interesting to you. And you haven't actually told me that you're bored, but you're looking at your phone and you're not looking at me anymore. And so I'm imagining that you're not paying any attention, and maybe you're feeling a little irritated or angry at me, or kind of, just maybe even disgusted that I keep going on and on about this. And I'm wondering, what's that experience been like for you that I've been talking about, the geography and the Incas, and what's that been like for you? Because I'm feeling a little embarrassed that I went on and I wasn't even paying attention to you. And I really regret that, because you're so important to me and I love you so much. I want to make sure that we have a really deep connection. And clearly that I've been doing something that's pulled us apart. So what has that been like for you?
I'm giving that high marks. It's interesting when you said the word disgusted, you acknowledged that feeling I might have been having. A lot of my resistance went away. I started to really like that. I think I'm giving that an A plus.
Oh, an A plus.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Wow.
Fantastic. And so that was one. Tell us, because people are listening, and I'll post the 5 secrets, but that was feeling empathy. That was a really good thing to acknowledge how Rhonda might be feeling. You did it, Rhonda, to acknowledge how that person might be feeling. What else did Rhonda do that gave it an A plus?
There was an element of cutting through the nonverbals there, that just sort of observing. Maybe it's like changing the focus as a technique to notice what I was doing and kind of imagining what I was thinking. That I thought was very nice.
Right.
And I like the disarm too.
Yeah.
Sort of taking the blame for kind of putting me in a space where I'm not that excited or interested.
Yeah, great. Yeah. All right. And that would be, were we modeling a spouse interaction right there?
Yes.
Is that how we were? Okay.
Sure.
And so I think that a few principles that we could flesh out, and then we could try how to fire an employee or whatever. I think stroking is really important when you're giving bad news to somebody. So we're kind of preserving their dignity, showing respect and caring for that person. That would be stroking. And also, I think an I feel statement can be combined with the stroking, like Jim or Sarah or whatever. I need to talk to you about something here, and it's kind of hard for me because as you know, I like you so much, and I have so much respect for you. At the same time, I want you to know that you're fired, dude. You know that, and then to share whatever the thing is, but I think always trying to look out for the other person's point of view, so they won't feel put down, and just avoid labeling and all or nothing thinking, and emotionally charged words, because when someone's vulnerable, they're it's really hard. For example, I've sometimes gotten dinged for giving feedback in the Tuesday group. We do, as you both know, we do role plays, and then we say, you got a B, you got a C, or whatever. Here's what you did right, and here's what you did wrong. And I sometimes underestimate just how vulnerable people can be. And so if I don't do a copious amount of stroking, they're all they hear is, Dr. Burns thinks I suck, which that's their thought. That's not my thought. I'm focusing on some specific thing that they did in the role play that needs to be improved. People are so vulnerable to criticism that you want to really go out of your way to soften the blow. So to be compassionate, be thoughtful, be sensitive, and when you have to give bad news, try to soften the blow as much as possible. And you might be kind of angry with a person too, and even there you can share anger in a loving way, or you can attack with anger. Like if you say to your spouse, some swear word, and I'm pissed off at you, idiot. Cut out that effing behavior you're doing, whatever it is. That's a nasty put down, and definitely going to fire up somebody's defensiveness and hurt. They'll put up a big barrier. I've often told students, it's not. You can make any interpretation to a patient anytime you want, and it can be the most brutal interpretation in the world, as long as you never rob the other person of self-esteem, as long as you make them feel like $1 million when you're ripping them to shreds. And that's a kind of an art form. Let's do another.
Can I try the fire? It was, Matt, thank you for the A+. It's always easier to go second.
Oh, thank you for the B+. I think you were quite generous there.
Okay. But could I try to go first with the firing someone, and then, I think that's a lot harder.
Okay. So do you want to fire Matt, or do you want to fire David? Or Dr. Knows, who's been pretty quiet.
How about I'll fire Dr. Knows.
Okay.
So, Dr. Knows, thank you for coming to speak with me today. You've been you've put in so much effort into this job, and I've admired that. This is your third performance evaluation, and the other two performance evaluations, we had some milestones that you had to reach, and I'm really sorry to say that because you didn't reach those milestones, I'm going to have to let you go. But I just want you to know that I really care about you still, and I want to make sure that this. I want to hear what you have to say and hear what it's been like to work here and what's been going on with you. And I'm imagining you're feeling a little angry at me for letting you go and feeling a little scared about your future. So I'd like to hear about that too. I do want to, make sure that we maintain a cordial relationship in the future, because I'm sure we'll see each other, since I'm assuming you're going to stay in the same profession that you are now. So, can you let me know what this is like for you and what you're feeling and all of that.
Okay. So what grade did you give yourself?
Oh, I'm going to go with a C because it felt a little insincere. And I think it felt a little insincere. And like if I cared about them, why would I be firing them? And if I was trying to find some way of stroking, and so all I could think of was you put in good effort, and I couldn't figure out a way. How do you stroke someone that you're about to fire them?
Okay, what was your grade? What was your feedback, Matt?
Oh yeah, I actually liked it. I was trying to listen through the ears of Dr. Knows, and I thought it was very respectful.
I tend to listen more with my nose.
With your nose, yeah. Yeah, and I liked it. I thought it was
very deep.
It was very deep. I thought it was very warm. I thought it was very like the effort. I could tell Rhonda was making a lot of effort to, offer respect and cared about Dr. Knows very deeply, and but yeah, I can see how there were. I think there were some elements that if I were Dr. Knows, I might have wanted that might not have been obvious to include because there was no backstory.
Mm-hmm.
But I think typically in this case, the employee would have been disgruntled for a while and probably not doing the job or not agreeing that they should have to do some element of their job and therefore weren't meeting these markers. And so we might have disarmed by acknowledging that this isn't the type of work that they signed on to do or that they wanted to do or have an interest in. And it's not a great match. And so it's understandable that they would feel disgruntled and kind of annoyed to be asked to do this. And also, unfortunately, this is the work that we have. And it's, important for the company to get this done. And so, in fact, I think if I were Dr. Knows, I would have wanted a bit of a preamble, like a gentle ultimatum. And so it's more his choice to leave than are informing him that he must go. That unfortunately, this is the only position we have available is to do this task, and it's clearly not something that suits you or that you would want to do. And
Matt, why don't you start at the beginning and do the 5 secrets with Dr. Knows?
Dr. Knows, hey.
Yeah. What? Oh, yeah. How am I doing, Doctor?
Dr. Knows, yeah. We actually have all really appreciated your presence. You have a great sense of humor, and it's just a lot of fun hanging out with you. And we've also kind of noticed that, and understandably so, you've been feeling kind of disgruntled and upset and probably really annoyed and at times angry at the demands of this job that we're asking you to do some things that are actually kind of beneath you or not your not something that interests you. And so we're imagining that probably this is the kind of work that you actually wouldn't want to do, which is sad for us. We'd love to retain you. We'd love to keep you in our employ. But we're guessing that this isn't the kind of work that you'd really want to dedicate yourself to. And it's such an important function for our company. You were our top pick for this position. And now we're thinking maybe we made a mistake. And we feel kind of awkward about that and bad. And just wanted to check in with you and see if this is work that you would want to be doing, or if this is really not suited to you.
Okay, what grade did you give yourself?
I don't know. Maybe a
what
B.
Grade what did you give it, Rhonda?
I gave it an A+ again. I thought that was fantastic. It was great stroking. You have a great sense of humor. We love hanging out with you. That was really sincere, and that had nothing to do with the job. It had to do with him as a person. And I loved that. And you acknowledged that he might be annoyed with the demands of the job, and maybe the job doesn't interest him. And and that it's sad for us, but we're guessing this isn't the kind of work you want to do. So you did put it back on his shoulders, and you did it in such a kind, thoughtful way.
I thought it was beautifully done, too. My only pause, and this would again depend on the style, but I think if you're going to let someone go, I don't want to let them, perseverate and start, maybe this isn't what you want to do. How do you feel? And then he might say, well, you've been putting me under a lot of pressure, but, I'm living in the homeless colony, and this is my only source of income, and I can do it if you just give me another chance or whatever. And then you're kind of hooked. I think I'd rather make it clear at the end most of the time. I'm not an expert in corporate culture and stuff, but
well, David, will you take a turn at it?
Well, yes, I had one other point. You said in your response, Rhonda, I imagine you're angry, and I try to avoid that. I thought your response was really excellent too, both of you. But when you say, I imagine you're angry, people say, I'm not angry, damn it. Like that, because people don't like to be accused of being angry. And so I always soften that and just say, and in addition, I don't know quite how you're feeling, and I want you to tell me in just a moment, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're not only feeling, hurt and anxious and disappointed, but maybe even a bit angry and for good reason. Something like that, or maybe a bit angry, or at least hurt and upset. And can you tell me how you are feeling? I really want to hear from you, because your feelings are incredibly important to me, and you as a person are incredibly important to me. And the one other thing that when you said, I imagine you're angry, I want to maintain a cordial relationship. What's it like for you? I also found I want to maintain a cordial relationship was like telling him, I don't want to hear about your anger. Mm-hmm. We have to keep this on a very...
right. I imagine you're angry, but don't tell me about it, because I want to keep it cordial.
Yeah, right. But those are just kind of fine tuning things. How would I say it? I would just say, Jim, this is a really hard moment for me, because for two reasons. First, your job performance hasn't been working out, and that tears me up, because I like you so much and have tremendous respect and regard for you. But you've had a couple of warnings and probations and goals to meet, and you haven't met them, and so we've got no other choice but to look for another person for the position. And I feel particularly bad because we probably didn't do a good job of utilizing your skills. I know you're tremendously bright and tremendously capable, and I care about you a lot. Can you tell me how you're feeling right now? I wouldn't be surprised if you're feeling hurt and anxious and maybe even a bit pissed off, and for good reason. Can you tell me how you are feeling and what you're thinking just now? I don't know. How was that?
Dang. That was
okay?
A triple plus.
Oh, really? Why?
You caught me in the very beginning when you said, this is a hard moment for me. At first I thought, well, should I care that it's a hard moment for you? Because it's about to become a hard moment for me. But then when you said, you just got right in, your job performance hasn't been working out, which hurts me because I really care about you so much. And I wanted this to work out. So it kind of softened the blow.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Now, let's say
but
that...
what do you think, Matt?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely an A+ as well. Yeah. If I were listening as the person being fired, I would still want to go out and have brunch with you sometime just to hang out, even if you fired me. Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's try the dating thing here, and let's say I've been pursuing you, Rhonda, and you've been kind of leading me on, and you're actually dating somebody else now, and you'd really like to get me out of your hair and out of your life, and I'm calling here again.
Think about.
And we'll see how you do. We'll have a little exchange back and forth.
So I have to let you down easy?
Yeah.
With the 5 secrets?
Yeah. So, Rhonda, hey, good to talk to you. I've been trying to call and leaving, I left 7 messages there. And when I didn't hear back, I figured maybe you hadn't gotten them. I'm just really glad I got you now, because I just love to have been missing you, and I'd just love to get together and, maybe chat over a cup of coffee or something like that. How you been?
Oh gosh, you have called me and left 7 messages, and to be perfectly honest, I have been kind of avoiding you. And it's you just told me that you want to get together and you want to chat over coffee, and it sounds like you're feeling really encouraged and eager to have this relationship with me. And
yeah, like you were saying, we could just be friends, and that's cool. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, and, I'm totally flattered that you want to hang out with me. But I really want to be honest with you. And I'm dating somebody else, and it's probably going to be too awkward for me to be friends with you while I'm dating someone else. And
you can do that. That's not a problem. It won't be a problem for me.
No, it will be a problem for me.
I care about you. Well, yeah. I care about you. I care about you.
I know. Well, I'm not caring about you as much.
So how do you think you did?
Well, I thought I did an okay disarm. I admitted that I'd been avoiding you, and that's then I kind of fell after that.
I gave you an A. I thought you did great.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was trying to be as awful as I could, but
okay. I
thought you stuck to your guns. What'd you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think you did as well as humanly possible there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was tough.
Have we covered all the bases and all? Oh, the one thing this woman said, I'm afraid that someone's going to get angry. Do you see? And I think we can role play that too. If you give bad news to someone and they get angry, what should you do? Well, you revert to the 5 secrets again, except you use disarming and empathy. You stop trying to make your point. You stop trying to win the argument, and you stroking, inquiry, disarming until the other person calms down. And any time you're kind of interacting with someone and they start to get angry or upset, even if you're not criticizing them or giving them bad news, you always want to revert to the empathy, stroking, inquiry, disarming, because trying to get your point across will never work when someone is pissed off at you and arguing with you, and they're feeling defensive. So, who would like to model the effective approach to someone who's angry?
I'll be angry.
No, I'm the angry one.
Oh, you're the angry one?
So you two can take your choice.
I have to draw straws, Rhonda. I don't know.
Draw shampoo.
Yeah. I'm happy to go. I'll be in the hot seat. That's okay.
Okay, great. And then I'll be glad to be on the recipient also. So you know what you're saying right now just doesn't make sense, Matt. It's unfair and it's wrong. It's wrong of you.
Actually, I have to agree with you. I'm thinking like I don't think I've been doing a very good job of conveying my point or making sense. And I really like that you're calling me out on that. I'd imagine you're pretty pissed off and angry with me right now. I'd like to better understand where you're coming from. Could you tell me a little more about where I'm missing the boat with you?
Okay, what grade did you give yourself?
I don't know. I'm pretty anxious. I probably should have said that. I didn't use an I feel statement. Maybe a B.
What did you give it, Rhonda?
I gave it an A-. One of David said you didn't really need to give an I feel statement.
Okay.
Because it's really more about them, but I didn't hear much stroking. I thought it was a beautiful disarm, and I would have liked to have heard a little bit more stroking.
And I thought it was really excellent, but I thought actually the I feel was good because it was a vulnerable I feel.
Oh.
It wasn't like, well, here's how I feel. I feel like you're wrong. Screw you. It was kind of, I'm feeling, I think it'd be really nice. I'm feeling really anxious, David. And part of the reason is, we're at odds. It's probably my fault. I'm probably not doing a good job of listening, but I really do care about you. And so it's, I'm feeling kind of really anxious and a little mad at myself for screwing up. And all that being said, tell me more where I'm missing the boat. I want to understand your point of view because I know what you're thinking and feeling is incredibly important, incredibly valid, and so I want to hear more where you're coming from. How's that?
Great.
A++, yeah.
Thanks.
Very warm, yeah. I like that communication of the caring for this person, even while they're angry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Matt, I didn't tell you what I liked. I didn't like what I liked about what you did. I loved the inquiry and how you completely took responsibility for what was going on between the two of you,
Yeah.
and then asked for more information from, it was just very heart opening.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I think we've done pretty good on this question. Dr. Knows did not give us too much, but he might maybe in another podcast be a little brave. We thank you, though, Dr. Knows, for coming in and observing. You're very welcome, David.
We need to have Dr. Knows back on the show more often.
Yeah. Well, we'll give you another shot, Doctor. And should we call it a day for this? This is a nice shortish podcast. If we want to do another one, we got tons of additional questions. We could record another podcast. So with all that in mind, should we end this podcast? And thank you, Matt. And we might just tap your brain right now for another podcast if you have.
I'm ready to go. Ready to rumble.
Already.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
This has been another episode of the Feeling Good podcast. For more information, visit Dr. Burns' website at feelinggood.com, where you will find the show notes under the podcast page. You will also find archives of previous episodes and many resources for therapists and non-therapists. We welcome your comments and questions. If you want to support the show, please share the podcast with people who might benefit from it. You could also go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating. I am your host, Rhonda Borowski, the director of the Feeling Great Therapy Center. We hope you enjoyed this episode. I invite you to join us next time for another episode of the Feeling Good podcast.